So we are going to see the collapse of the Congress system. So we are saying a system which was so great, a system which was put up by the lead powers, finally it did what? It collapsed. Before you continue, I emphasize our Kasoma Farouk of Uganda's idea. Believe that you can. Believe that you do what? You can. At a time, even when the waves are so large, believe that you can. So we are saying limited membership led to the collapse of the Congress system. When you analyze the Congress system, you realize that there was what you call limited membership. Smaller states were neglected, especially in decision making. The question is, how were the smaller states going to embrace the Congress system? So the limited membership of the Congress system led to its collapse, because many states which were not great members in the system turned against the system. Then the weak foundation. So we are saying the quadruple alliance had a weak foundation because it considered only the powerful states and other states were not considered. So it is this that led to the collapse of the Congress system. Then the isolation policy of Britain. We believe at a time when Britain was so much needed, Britain isolated itself. At the time of Castle and the time of Canning, Britain isolated its what? Self. You remember when Canning said, every nation for itself and God for us all. So we are saying by this time, it was the isolation policy of Britain that led to the collapse of the Congress system. Then suspicion and jealousy among the powers. It is said powers were not trusting one another. For example, powers were fearing Britain. So by this time, we are saying today that the suspicion and jealousy among the powers led to the collapse of the Congress system. Then disagreement among the members. They had what you call conflicting interests. Some members supported dictatorship. Others supported the liberalism. So there is no way the Congress system was going to survive when members had disagreements in their interests. Then lack of experience. My friend, the Congress system was the first of its what? Kind. Since it was the first of its kind, it lacked experience. It did not have books where to read and see the strategies that were used before. So lack of experience explains the collapse of the Congress system. Then the growth of liberalism in Britain. It is said the growth of liberalism in Britain. Britain was supporting liberalism, countries to get their freedom, but other countries were not accepting this. There is no way the system was going to survive when powers were not accepting Britain, what Britain was saying. Moreover, Britain was the major financier. That's why Canning said, every nation for itself and God for us all. Then another one, lack of a joint army. The countries that were rising up against the system were supposed to be punished by a joint army, but the diplomats of the Congress system lacked a joint what? Army. So lack of a joint army explains the collapse of the Congress system. That's why smaller states had to rise up and they became confident because they knew that the diplomats were not having a joint army to stop them. Then ignoring the will and interests of the masses. It is said the system ignored the will and interests of the masses. it considered only great states, and it is this that made the masses in the smaller states to rise up against the system. Then difference in ideology. There is no way the system was going to survive when members had differences in what? Ideology. Some were supporting liberalism, others dictatorship. So there is no way they were going to survive. Then the death of founder members. The founder members, like Alexander I, they died at a time when they were so much needed. The new members who succeeded the founder members did not have love for the system, and it is this that led to the collapse of the system. Then the outbreak of the Greek War of Independence. We are saying the Greek War of Independence, members disagreed. Others were supporting the Greeks to get their independence. Others were against. So we are saying by this time, it was a question of the disagreement over the Greek War of Independence that led to the collapse of the Congress system. Then the outbreak of the 1830 Belgian Revolution. The Belgian Revolution of 1830 led to the collapse of the system, because by this time, when it succeeded and the diplomats were against the Congress system, it is this that led to the collapse of the Congress. The diplomats were against revolutions, but when it succeeded, we are saying this led to the collapse of the Congress system. Then admission of France in the system. You remember the major reason why they formed the system was to fight a country called what? France. But when France was admitted in the system, it meant that the real reason why they were combined was over. And this led to the collapse of the system. The death of Napoleon I in 1821. Napoleon I was one of the reasons that made these powers to join hands together to defeat him. But when Napoleon died, it meant the major reason why they were combined was no longer there. And this led to the collapse of the Congress system. Then the weakness of the Vienna Settlement. You remember the Vienna Settlement is the one that came up with the Congress system. But it was very weak. Members were disagreeing with one another. So there is no way the system was going to survive when by this time it was put up by the weak Vienna Settlement. Then the Monroe Doctrine. Monroe Doctrine, it was brought by USA, where President Monroe was saying countries are not supposed to interfere in the affairs of other countries. This made the smaller states to become confident, and they had to rise up against the Congress system. Moreover, the smaller states were many. So by this time, it is this that influenced the collapse of the Congress system. So a system which was so strong, which was supposed to live for so many years, had to collapse. So friends, you need to understand the key reasons that led to the collapse of the Congress system. A system which was so strong finally collapsed in 1830. I can tell you the death of founder members was one of the key reasons. They died at a time when they were so much needed, because they had love for the system, but their death led to the collapse of the Congress system.